Good morning, everyone. Well done to the vast majority of you who've submitted your percentages quiz answers. Still waiting for a couple of you. I'll make a few calls to follow those up if I haven't got them by the end of today. But we're not quite ready to move on from this particular topic. We've been looking at ratio and proportion and percentages. And on NewSpec GCSE, questions that involve a mixture of ratio, percentages, fractions, and decimals have become quite popular. So we're going to look at a few of those in this lesson. So firstly, let's just do a whistle-stop reminder of the sort of stuff that we should be able to do already. So I reckon that you should be able to do this question without a calculator quite easily. And this question, there's an easy way to do it with a calculator. So if you just pause the video at this point and have a go at those two questions, without and with a calculator. Okay, so hopefully no problems here. 10% is 24, so 5% is 12, so you need 3 lots of that and 1 lot of that, and that gives you 84. And then 35% as a decimal is 0.35, so one really easy way to work out 35% of an amount is to do 0.35 times that amount, and you can do that with any percentage problem. You could do it with this one, 0.35 times 240, and that gives us that as our answer. So percentages without calculator, with a calculator, easy peasy, hopefully. We've done a lot of work with fractions in this sort of topic. While we were all still together, we did all the fraction arithmetic stuff, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So here are 2 quick fraction questions. I'm hoping you'll be able to do that one quite easily. This one's a little bit harder. So just pause the video and see if you can have a go at working out this one and this one. Okay, so 1/8 of 24, that's taking 24 and dividing it by 8, is 3. So 3/8 of 24 is 9. 3/8 of 20 is slightly trickier because 1/8 of 20 is slightly harder. So I can do what I did up here. I can turn it into multiplication sum. And if I've got a calculator, then I can just type that in on my calculator. Most calculators have a fraction facility, and that's really, really easy to do. I could have done it here. I could have done 3/8 times 24 and got the answer there. If you haven't got a calculator, well, there's a neat trick you can do. Write 20 as 20 over 1. It's 20 whole ones, and then do it as a fraction multiplication sum, and we know how to do that. It's really easy. We do the 2 numerators multiplied together, 3 times 20, and the 2 denominators multiplied together. Although remember, we can make it easier on ourselves if we cross-cancel first. Now I can't divide 3 and 1 by anything, but 20 and 8 are both in the 4 times table, so before I multiply, I'm going to cancel those. I hope you can remember us doing that in class. And that gives me 3 times 5 is 15, 2 times 1 is 2. It's a top-heavy fraction. I'm quite relaxed about that, but it may be that you decide to write it like that. And if we'd done it on our calculator in the first place, it would have given us that. All of those are perfectly acceptable ways to write the answer to that question. Slightly rarer are questions where you're asked to find a decimal of an amount. It's not very common, but 0.45 of 70, well, I'm just going to do what I've done with these two and just say that's the same as that, and I'm just going to multiply that in my calculator. 0.45 times 70 gives me my answer. Although don't disengage common sense completely. I mean, if you're asked to find 0.25 of 16, that's a quarter, isn't it? So I mean, you could type it in a calculator, but Actually, I can do that in my head really, really easily. So, there's a variety of ways of approaching that problem. So here we have percentages, fractions and decimals, and we're going to be looking today at some questions that mix them up. And of course there's one other thing that gets thrown into the mix, and that is ratio. And we've done plenty of work on ratio recently. So for example, if we have a mixture of two colours, blue and green, in the ratio 2:3, I know that as a fraction, that's 2/5 blue, 3/5 green. Just make sure you're clear on where the 5 has come from. Okay, if I'm making a mix of paint with 2 pots of blue, 3 pots of green, that's 5 pots altogether. 2/5 and 3/5, I could write that as a percentage. That's 40% and 60%. Or I could write it as a decimal, 0.4 and 0.6. So I've got 3 ways of writing that mixture: as a fraction, as percentages, and as a decimal. And don't forget the sharing. So if we're sharing 60 in the ratio 2:3, that means one person's getting 2 shares and another person's getting 3 shares. So that's 5 shares altogether. So 60 divided by 5 is 12. So each of those shares is worth 12. So that means this person's getting £24 and this person's getting £36. So I'm hoping all I'm doing here is just jogging your memory for the stuff that we've done quite recently. So now let's apply this to questions that mix it all. Okay, so here's the first question. We've got a mixture of beads that are red, yellow and blue. So there we go, red, yellow, blue. We're told that 40% of the beads are blue. 60 altogether, so blue is 40% of 60. So there we go, that's a technique that we've already talked about. 10% would be 6, so that's 24. 5/12 of the beads are red, so that's 5/12 of 60. Again, a technique we've done before. 1/12 of 60 is 5, so that's 25, or I can just type it into my calculator as 5/12 times 60, so that's 25 beads. How many are yellow? Well, I just need to say, right, I've got 60 beads altogether. 24 of those are blue and 25 of those are red. So those two add up to 49, so that must mean that I've got 11 yellow beads. Here's the second question, which is a bit more involved. So I've got 3 people. Surprise, surprise, their names start with A, B and C, and they're sharing money in the ratio 1:3 to 2. And that is £54. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shares. So 54 divided by 6 is £9 each. So each of those shares is £9. And that means that Ali's getting £9 and Babs is getting £27 and Kaz is getting £18. Okay, so I've written those amounts down here, and then I've taken what we're told in the question and transposed it. So it's not Ali, sorry, I said Ali earlier, it's Abby. Abby gives 80% of her £9 to charity. So I could do that manually, but I'm feeling like I want to use my calculator, so I just do 0.80 or 0.8 times 9, and that will give me how much she gives. Remember, money we would round to 2 decimal places. 0.25 is a decimal, that's a quarter, isn't it? So it's a quarter of 27, so that's just 27 divided by 4. So that is £6.75. And 2/9 of 18, well, that's quite an easy one to do in my head. 1/9 of 18, 18 divided by 9 is 2, so that would be 4. But I can also just do on my calculator 2/9 times 18, I get the same answer. And for the work we're doing today, I'm happy for you to use calculators if you prefer. And how much money in total do the girls donate to charity? So it's really important with these questions that you make sure you've actually answered the question itself. You always, you've done lots of maths, but have you actually answered the question? So I'm just going to add those three amounts together, and that is the amount that they donate. Okay, so I have given you, or have attached 4 questions along a similar line. No solutions at the moment. I'm going to put solutions on class charts later today. So no need for you to sort of submit work this week. If you just hold on until later today, and the answers will magically pop up. And if you've still got problems after seeing those, then by all means get in touch. If not, we will do the very last lesson of this topic on Monday. All the best.